This is the tale of one train's journey that began at the Cincinnati Model Train and Trade Show and ended up here, in my basement on my work table. This train is over 60 years old and it has seen a lot of use. It's remarkable that it survived in this condition because you can tell that it's been played with quite a bit. The roof paint is worn through from hands picking it up and placing it on tracks. There are quite a few nicks to the red paint where maybe it flew off the rails at high speed, or maybe it was packed away roughly in a box of other toy trains. It's all here though, nothing's broken on it, the decals are not complete, but I don't want to repaint the entire thing. I've always wanted a Santa Fe Alco locomotive by Lionel, and this is a dummy unit. It was only $20 at the train show. I'm going to keep it as original as I can, or at least the original paint scheme, but I am going to freshen up the silver paint and I'm going to try to touch up some of those red nicks around the nose and the headlights. The whole front end of the dummy unit has taken quite a beating, but I think it can be brought back to life. It can be given a freshening, a sympathetic restoration maybe, a little facelift. The original paint was pretty thinly applied, so I'm just giving a few light coats of silver to try to match it as closely as I can. I don't want to hide all the roof detail. And now looking back on it, I think if I were to do it again, I would choose a different tape than this blue tape. I didn't even think about damaging the original graphics when the tape was pulled off, but luckily that didn't happen here. The yellowish tape is modeler's tape from Tamiya, and that's pretty good. That doesn't pull much off when you remove it, but it does allow you to get right into tiny little cracks and crevices so you don't have any bleed through. The Santa Fe stamping and the red stripes, the black and yellow stripes, luckily for me, they were not affected or pulled off with the blue tape. I hadn't even thought of that. But luck was on my side this time, and I'm pretty happy with the way the silver turned out. I couldn't find an exact color that matched this locomotive, so I began by spraying some red into this coffee cup and then adding little bits of yellow until I came up with a pretty close match. The areas that are missing the most paint are the areas that stand out from the body. So these handrails, there's a rail above the window and the door, the areas surrounding the number boards, and different parts of the nose all stand out, and those were the areas that were nicked. And if I just confine my touch-up to those areas, I think there's a pretty good chance that this should all blend in together pretty well. The paint I mixed up looks like it goes on a little thickly, but as it dries, it levels itself out and blends in pretty well with the surrounding original paint. The touch-up paint is a little less noticeable on these edges, these corners, these handrails. It tends to show up a bit more on the broad flat areas like the sides or on top of the nose or on top of the roof. but I still think it's better than having the gray plastic or the silver paint showing through the many nicks and scratches on the original red paint. I was hoping that I could just sand the frame and mask off the wheels and give it a quick coat of glossy black spray paint. But the rust was a little deeper than I thought, and the sandpaper wasn't working too well. So I had to remove the wheels after all, and I'm going to treat the frame with some vinegar. It's something I haven't tried before, but I saw somebody else do it as a way to remove rust, and vinegar is cheaper than almost any other rust remover, so I'm going to give it a try. I'm just using some white vinegar, and apparently the acid in the vinegar will eat away the rust and just leave clean bare metal. What I wasn't expecting was that it would also remove the blued finish on the frame, which is okay. And it spent about 2 hours in the vinegar before it came out looking like this. And this isn't too bad. Most of the rust is gone, the blued finish is completely gone, and after a little more sanding, I think this looks pretty sharp. It's almost like new. I almost don't want to paint it because it's so clean and shiny, but I know I'm going to end up painting it black. These trucks are in pretty good shape, and the sides are plastic, and the couplers themselves are metal. So I'm going to clean them with a toothbrush and some rubbing alcohol. Then I'm going to mask off the couplers and spray paint them black. I don't want to remove them from the trucks because they're held on with a rivet, and if I drill out that rivet, I would have to find a new rivet, reassemble these couplers with the new rivet, and I don't need to do that. These will come out pretty well, I think, with just a little bit of blue masking tape. Nothing says new like glossy paint, and I really like the way these couplers came out. The glossy black looks totally fresh. I don't know if it's an exact factory finish, but I do like the way these look. I used the same shiny black paint on the base, and it came out beautifully. Look at this mirror-like finish. That finish on the base plus the shiny paint on the couplers, this part of the train is completely restored, I would say, and it's ready to go back together with the plastic shell. This shell is not perfect. You can still tell it's been well used, well loved over its lifetime, but I think this is an improvement, at least for me, from the way I found it when I first bought it. I may have ruined any sort of collectability value because it's no longer original, and a restored version of anything is never worth as much as a well-preserved original. But I don't plan on selling this. I like it. I've always wanted one of these, and now I have it, and it will look good on my shelf. And maybe I will try to find a powered unit to go with this dummy unit. But until then, I kind of like just sitting back and looking at this sometimes. I'm pretty proud of it. I like it a lot. And it's a bit of a childhood dream fulfilled, I guess you'd say, if you want to be dramatic about it. Because I did want one of these when I was a kid. Now, 40, 50 years later for me, I have one. Collectible items can have a monetary value. They can also have a sentimental value if they've been in your family a long time. And I think there's also a value in taking pride in a job well done. And that's the kind of value I have in this Lionel Alco. I think it's pretty good. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, this has been Bob's Workshop.